brought to you by Gospel of God's Grace Ministries. Healing.
At the age where other children are enjoying life's innocent moments, a 13-year-old Rapula has been subjected to the use of catheter. One can imagine the pain of having to rely on a foreign object for one's nature's most basic calls. The ultimate question, how did this happen? Let us listen.
Okay, give him. Let me hear what you are saying. What are you saying?
I'm saying help my student here. He has a terrible problem. He relies on the operation for him to urinate. He had an accident last year at the hostels. And then since then, he has been to every office, even up to the highest office of this country, but still he doesn't have.
You said this young man is your student.
He's my student.
You are teaching him.
Yes, I was teaching.
That's how you met him.
Yes.
And he's got a problem.
And he has got a problem, yes, sir.
What is the problem?
His problem is that he can't urinate properly. He has an operation, and then he has to urinate through the blood coming out of the wound of that operation.
They opened for the urine to come out.
They opened it.
So now the urine comes out through the opening, not the penis.
I'm using a urethral catheter.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, man, tell me, what's your problem?
Last year, other guy pulled me with the penis at the hostel at Lubaz. So I had difficulties.
What happened?
He pulled me with the penis. I was sleeping in the hostel.
You were sleeping in the hostel?
Yes.
What happened to your penis?
The other guy came and pulled me with the penis.
The other child? The other student?
Yeah.
4 or 5 students?
Yes.
Pulled
During
the
abuse that is normally done by senior students to the junior ones.
Okay, so now they pulled him through the penis.
He pulled him from the bed and then put him down, and then he got injured. Maybe the urethra got stretched and blocked.
So ever since that time, you cannot urinate?
Yes. I can only urinate if I use this urethral catheter.
Are you here believing in Jesus?
Yes, man of God.
You are ready to give yourself to Jesus?
Yes, man of God.
After pleading to the man of God, he received spirit-filled prayer in the name of Jesus, the greatest physician the world has ever known.
So thank you.
Thank you, God, man of God.
He is declared free, and just as the man of God instructed, he goes to the restroom to the glory of God. Healing has taken place.
The grace of God is sufficient for you.
Good morning, church. The grace of God is super sufficient for me and you. Amen. I am Rapula from Mabalan. I'm here to testify God for the transformation of good health from bad health that He gave to me.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus?
The person next to him beside me is my former teacher at a junior school. He's the one who introduced me to these ministries. I never knew anything about these ministries. People of God, on the 24th of April 2016, when I was at Lubaz Senior Secondary School, there was bullies in the hostels that he ended up coming in contact with me. And that time I was sleeping on a bed after lunch time. He came, and what he just did, he just grabbed me with my private parts. After all, he went out. After he went out, the other students took me back to the bed again. After some time, I felt a very intensive pain on my private parts. I went to the hospital, and I was seen by the nurse.
So let us understand your ordeal very well. You are saying that it was at lunchtime whereby you are taking a nap. That is, you are resting on the bed at school. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes.
And then a certain guy who is bullying other students came, and then he held you with your private part, that is your penis, and then he pulled you. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
Okay. Take us through now the pain that you were feeling and experiencing at that particular moment. How were you feeling at that moment?
The pain was very intensive that I could not walk. So other students had to carry me to the nearby hospital. When I went to the hospital, I was attended by a nurse. The nurse who saw and marked the swelling in my private parts and referred me to the doctor. When the doctor came, he just said that, no, this is just nothing, just a soft tissue injury. Later on, the following day, I went back again to the hospital now with the difficulty in passing urine, that I could not pass urine at all. So I kept on going to the hospital each and every day. I could not spend full week in the school.
So you're saying that the following morning you discovered that you were having difficulties in passing urine. You're welcome to explain to us what actually would happen to you when nature would call you for you to pass urine. What would actually happen and how would you feel because of the injury that you experienced from that ordeal that you underwent?
I had an intensive pain that I could not pass urine at all. So even the swelling, I think it was the main cause root of the urine retention that I had. I was feeling like going to the toilet, urinating, but when I got into the toilet, nothing came out, in extent that I would cry very hard. And some student will come and take me to the hospital. That's why now the doctor introduced the use of catheter on me. He inserted the urethral catheter. After insertion the urethral catheter, he told me to come back again after 7 days. I went back to the hospital. When I get there, he removed the catheter. Immediately after 2 hours, everything blocked again. He had to reinsert catheter again. After inserting the catheter, I kept on going to see the doctor who continuously scheduled for the renewal of the catheter. That in extent that he said, he thinks that it will not be possible for me to urinate, to go back to normal again.
So according to what the doctors were saying, looking at the condition, they were saying that he believes that according to the way things were, the use of catheter will be your lifelong experience. That will be your lifestyle from that particular moment going forward, because he wouldn't see you being healed from the problem that you're experiencing. Is that what you are saying to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
So when the doctor was telling you, young man, that now this is going to be your life from now onwards, what went on within you?
I kept on using the catheter. Later on, he sent me to urologist, to a specialist in Marina. I was very depressed in extent that I think I attempted to commit suicide 3 times in length of 1 year.
So the whole thing led you to depression to the point that you were not seeing the reason to be alive anymore. You even attempted suicide 3 times. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
I believe that wonderful people, you are getting to see the picture of the severity of the problem that this young man was going through. So you're welcome to continue.
Later on, that's when he introduced me to a urologist at Marina, and urologist who took a decision of me making a scan called urethrogram, which later on showed that there was a stricture. So even the urologist kept on inserting the catheter, increasing the length of checkups.
So the whole thing meant that you would be even carrying the catheter to school. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, evangelist.
So you wouldn't stay any moment without the catheter. The catheter was part of your life from that very experience going forward. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
You're welcome to continue.
In extent that catheter and the urine bag, it was my school bag now. There was nothing to carry but urethral catheter and its bag. I was always carrying urine in my own hands, carrying my own urine.
So you're saying that eventually your teacher, your former teacher, introduced you to the Gospel of God's Grace Ministries, whereby we've been witnessing you meeting the able servant of God. Take us through now, you're coming to the Gospel of God's Grace Ministries and your experience as you were in God's presence.
It was on Friday, I think it was about 3 a.m. in the morning, when I had a vision. I was in a church, and in that church there was a very multitude of people. And surprisingly, I found myself completely healed.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus?
The very same place that I was in my vision, it was here in Gospel of God Grace Ministries.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. So when you came into the Gospel of God's Grace Ministry, you saw that this is the very church that I saw in my vision. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist. And the very same person that I saw in my vision was Prophet Cedric.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ?
When I woke up in that vision, I cried a lot like nobody's business. I think I took almost 2 hours crying before I went to take a bath. So the whole day, I spent the whole day crying, truly speaking. So in the evening, it was around 4:30 after school. This teacher of mine, my former teacher, Mr. Roberts, phoned me and told me that my student, I want you to visit me at Kopong at 3G Ministries. But I didn't agree with that. Later on, I heard a voice saying, why are you denying your healing?
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ.
When I heard this voice, I was very confused. In the extent that I said to myself, what should I do now? I saw a vision. Someone is inviting me to churches that I don't know. Is that the very same church that I was seeing in my vision? Or I'm just going to no way, where now everything will be a mess? I was very shocked. Questioning myself, how this man can tell me to visit me at his church without asking for my opinions.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for this wonderful testimony? So after asking yourselves such questions, what was your conclusion and how did you eventually arrive in the Gospel of God's Grace Ministries?
I had money, but I pretended that I didn't have money to come here. But he said, no, don't worry, I will provide you with the transport money. I later on bring in some excuses saying, no, I didn't wash my uniform. And he said, no. You can just wake up early in the morning and wash your uniform so we can come here. Mm-hmm. When I came here in God Gospel Ministries, I could not sit down in a chair for more than 20 minutes. But immediately after sitting in God Gospel Ministries chair, I could sit for more than an hour in a chair.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ?
When I saw myself sitting in a chair for more than an hour, I asked myself, what's happening now? Is this the healing that I saw in my vision? Later on, there was a man who was suffering for a leprosy. That man's testimony encouraged me a lot like nobody's business.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? So when you saw that man sharing a testimony about the healing of leprosy, an incurable disease as well as the world is concerned. So when you saw that man saying to the congregation, and even there was evidence even in his face that he has been healed completely from that sickness. So you are saying that that testimony encouraged you. Is that what you are saying to the church?
Yes, evangelist.
So what was going on within you when you saw that if God can heal this man from this leprosy that is considered to be incurable? So what came within you? What came upon you?
After that, after I saw that testimony, I just told myself that my situation is not a big deal.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? You know, so we are witnessing the importance of paying maximum attention and giving our attention to the moment of testimonies. Because it is within these testimonies where God is introducing his things to us. So I believe that you are encouraged as well as you are listening to this glorious, wonderful, and inspiring testimony. So young men, you're welcome to continue. So you said to yourself, if God can do it for this man, it means my situation as well is not an exception.
Yes, evangelist. During the service now, after that testimony, when a man of God was preaching, his preaching was based on the heart. That one, it now completely uplifted my faith.
Shall we put our hands together for Master Jesus? So the preaching that the man of God was giving to the congregation in that particular Sunday is exactly what you needed. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
That is why you are saying that it went straight to your heart. He spoke to your heart. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, evangelist.
You're welcome to continue.
During the course of the service, later on now, it was the time of prophecy. Man of God was going around the church giving prophecies to people. I told myself that even though if man of God cannot give a prophecy to me, but I will come out here healed.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ.
After all, I said that I told myself that, oh, this man touched me on the vision. I won't go back dry. I will go back homeward. This is what I told myself that, oh, even if I came here dry, but one of the good days, I will cry the tears of joy, but not the tears of sorrow.
Young men, the moment came, the time came where we had your teacher pleading to the man of God, narrating to the man of God your experience, what actually happened to you. So take us through now, when the man of God came to you, and then he ordered the ushers to bring you closer to him because he wanted to hear your story, and then you began to narrate your story to the man of God. So take us through that experience and what actually transpired at that encounter with the servant of God.
When man of God, Prophet Cedric, called me to the front, oh my God, my body's like, it was like I was in a cold room. I felt like I was freezing. Later on, I said, oh, what freezing? Why does this freezing comes from now? Though I told myself that I will come out here, wait. And he asked me, can I touch your private parts? I said, no, there is no problem. Just do what the God tells you to do.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for this wonderful testimony? You've set aside your expectations, your will and your desire, and you said to the man of God, just do as God tells you to do. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
You're welcome to continue.
When he touched me, I felt a very powerful retention in my bladder, which I never felt since I was inserted the catheter. I was asking myself, is it that my bladder is going to burst? After that, he said to me, go and try to ease yourself. When I went out to ease myself, surprisingly, the urine came out through the urethra, even though there was a urethral catheter.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus, louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. So after a touch from the servant of God, after the man of God prayed for you, you are saying that you still had a catheter. But what surprised you is that the urine came through your private part, but it never even came through the catheter. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
But before that, urine was only coming out through the catheter before the prayer. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, evangelist. And I could not feel any pressure of urine. I would just see the urine bag full of urine that I had to go out and drain it. I never had any pressure in my blood.
But after the touch, for the first time, then that's when you begin to see yourself being able to release urine with your private part. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
Whereby you are now feeling the pressure of the urine.
Yes, evangelist.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus, louder, beautifully for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ.
Immediately after that, I was due for a scan, for urethrogram scan, to see the patency of the urethra. When I did the urethra, the doctor was very shocked that how can it be possible that urine can come out, though the urethra its narrowing was very tight. As I may take you to the board.
You're welcome to approach the board. So your doctor was even shocked that how come you are able to pass urine with your own private parts without necessarily having to rely or depend on the catheter. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist. This was the scan that I did on the 11th, on the 15th of August 2017. It was form of dialysis. That one, they realized that, oh my God, this urethra, this patency, it cannot be easy or it cannot be possible for urine come out. It was the first observation that they were not increasing the pressure of the dialysis chemicals. It was the first one. And this one was the second one, and this one was the third one, and this one the fourth one, which showed that the urethra was completely blocked. In such a way, it seems like the urethra was cut into two pieces.
So I believe that wonderful people, you can just see even on the screen of the television how the situation was in the life of the young man. And simply because of that, that's when you are saying that urine couldn't even pass. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
So that's why you had to rely on the catheter, whereby you are not even feeling the pressure of the urine. Because as you can see, people of God, evidently that it is clear that everything was cut. There was no more passage for the young man to be able to use to pass urine. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, evangelist.
So the doctor became shocked, or how possible now are you managing to pass urine? Because according to their x-ray or their scan, there was no how you could be able to pass urine without the catheter. Is that what you are saying to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God? And this is what the young man experienced just after a touch from the servant of God.
In extent that he could not believe what he was seeing, he referred me to a specialist in Gaborone Private Hospital, who later said, the only thing that I can do is just to do an urethrotomy so that I can put a stent so the urethra can be completely opened. It was very shocking thing even to the nurse, the doctors, that he called other doctors and said, look at what I'm seeing with this young man. The urethra is completely blocked, but urine is managing to come out.
But the urine is still managing to come out. Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? I believe that Master Jesus deserves a better and a mighty round of applause from the church for this wonderful life restoration. So the doctors were shocked that how is it possible? Where is this young man really being able to urinate? Because according to the way the things were, according to their scan, there was no how urine could pass due to the condition of your urethra. Is that what you are saying to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
So that's why the doctor had to call other doctors to come and try to really assess the situation, because he was also amazed or shocked by what was happening.
Yes, evangelist.
You're welcome to continue.
So the doctor called other doctors. They were all very shocked that the urethrotomy that I had to do, it was supposed to book the length of 7 months. But he just told me that, oh, young man, go back home. On the 26th Thursday, you shall be here to do the urethrotomy. There was no any long booking that he made. So I went there on the 26th of October and did the urethrotomy, and he inserted the catheter again. In fact, he removed it where there was open hand. He managed to pass it through urethra where others doctors were failing. Before I came to Gospel of God Grace Ministries.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, as we continue to witness the evidence of Master Jesus in this wonderful testimony?
If I may take you to the board.
You're welcome to approach the board.
This was on the 11th of August 2016. The first scan that I did. History of urine retention. Had been injured by a schoolmate on the 24th April 2016. Urethrogram done and short stricture. Insertion of catheter to be removed on this 8th of August 2016. That one didn't come realistic. I also continued using the catheter.
So this is the time when you went back to them, when they began to assess you, they also suggested that you continue using the catheter. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, evangelist.
You are welcome to continue.
That's when here now, I went to GPH for the urethrotomy. Urethra stricture due to trauma or assault. And he inserted the catheter and he advised to keep catheter for 6 weeks, which was to be removed on the 12th of December 2017. So I went back home. He gave me a sick off. That he said, I have to stay at home from the 26th of October 2017 up to including the 13th December 2017 due to operation. That meant that I had to quit school and start Form 4 again. After he discharged me, he advised me, never get your foot into schoolyard. I just went silent, and it was Friday, so I went home. The very same week after the urethrotomy, I went to school on Monday, and there was no any pain. Now I was wondering, how can this man tell me that I have to stay home for 6 weeks, even though I don't have any pain? I went all alone the whole week going to school. On Saturday, around 12 in the midnight, during the course of the night, I woke up. I had message of Prophet Cedric on my phone. I listened to them, all of them, like before. After listening to Prophet Cedric messages, I prayed hard, and I administered medium of living water, and I said, all sufferings that I've been going through all along for 1 year and 6 months, they shall come to end, but I don't know when, but during God's due time. I went back to bed. When I went back to bed, 3 minutes or 5 minutes, I felt a very powerful urine retention like nobody's business. Surprisingly, when I went out to try and ease myself, I found nothing in the urine bag. I said, oh my God, what's happening now? How can I feel the retention, that the urine bag is full, but there is nothing in urine bag? Immediately after I said that, I don't know what came to my sense that I should try to push, to test whether if the urine can come out. When I tried to push the urine, surprisingly, the catheter came out followed by the urine.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? Louder, louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ.
As you can see, people of God, this ball came out through the tiny urethra, that it is not possible for this thing to come out. But after the administration of living water, this thing came out. Even the doctor was very shocked. How can this come out? But first I saw the nurse who said, no, go home. If there is no any pain you are feeling, you can go back home. There is no problem. And I wanted to take this thing. I said, no, just give me this to go and testify God of Prophet Cedric.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? Louder, louder, louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. So you told the doctor that before I can just return this thing to you, give me a chance. I want to go to share the testimony and show the church where the God of Prophet Cedric has taken me from. From darkness, now I'm in the light. Is that what you are tasting to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for this wonderful testimony. So take us through now your experience. So immediately after you said that you felt the urine retention, and then from there you pushed, and then the whole thing came out. The catheter came out by itself. So tell us now, from that particular moment going forward, what would be your experience when it comes to the time for you now to go to ease yourself, that is to urinate? What would happen to you?
I was thinking that this catheter maybe was not inserted properly. In the extent that I wanted to go back now to my specialist so that I can take his opinion. When I went to my specialist at Marina, he told me that no, this cannot be possible. It seems like you pulled that catheter again. I have to reinsert it again. Immediately after saying that, he came out of the consultation room to collect all the necessary equipment for the insertion of the catheter. When he came back, he now prepared everything. And he told me to go and lie on the bed. Immediately when I was stepped to the bed, I saw my prophet. He just asked me an unanswered question. He said, "My son, don't you believe what God has done to you?" After those words, I stepped backward and I said, "No, doctor, wait with the issue of the catheter." And he started to explain to me. He told me that the reason why I want to reinsert this catheter is because it was due for 6 weeks. So if it is not due for 6 weeks, after 2 days, everything will collapse and stricture will come back again. I said to him that, no, I believe and I trust that I will never have stricture again. That is statement, he wrote it on my medical cards.
And according to what the doctor was saying, is that he needs to reinsert the catheter again. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, evangelist.
Because he was saying that the only due time for them to think of removing this catheter, if at all it's possible, will be on the 12th of December. Is that what you are saying to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
And that was not even the 12th of December. Is that what you are saying to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist. It was after 8 days.
Just after 8 days. And he said to you that if he doesn't put the catheter, after 2 days, the whole thing will collapse again. Is that what you are saying to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
So take us through now. After that experience with the doctor taking us through, what actually happened?
I pleaded him, "Doctor, can you please bring a bucket so that I can demonstrate to you what I'm talking about when I'm saying I'm living by God?" And he brought the basin, and surprisingly, he saw the urine coming out.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. So you just show the doctor that this is not just a verbal conviction. I can even show you here and now that I can pass urine without any difficulty and without the catheter. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
And right in front of the doctor, you're saying that you passed urine in front of him in a normal way. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist. Because before I demonstrated to him, he was not agreeing with me at all. That he said to the other doctor who was with him, he said, "Can you please write that the patient says he is passing urine while without difficulties?" I said, "No, doctor, write your own observation and write my observations."
Shall we put our hands together for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ.
When I passed the urine, he was very shocked. He said, "Oh, this is very fantastic."
He said, "This is very fantastic."
Yes, evangelist.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus?
And he told me that, "You small boy, I don't want you again in my clinic, because I have already showed that you are completely healed, and there is a good urine stream. If I may take you to the board.
You're welcome to approach the board.
After all, I saw man of God, Prophet Cedric, near me saying, don't you believe what God has done to you? This is what he wrote. He says he is a man of God. And he trusts that he will not have a stricture again. That's why now we started to argue about the coming of urine. That's why now, after demonstrating to him, he wrote that good stream of urine.
Good stream of urine. Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? So now, taking us from that particular moment and up until now, as you are standing in God's presence,
I am now passing urine well without any difficulty or any pain or anything that you can think that it can be suspicious that this person, his system is not well.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? So are you able to pass urine in a normal way, Amen, without any problem, without any difficulty?
Yes, evangelist. Now, I can do the same. I don't have to hide.
So now you are attesting to the congregation that after the touch from the man of God, Prophet Cedric, and you kept on ministering the living water, you are attesting to the church that Jesus Christ of Nazareth has restored you to your original position. Now you are able to just urinate without any problem, without any hassle. Is that what you are attesting to the congregation?
Yes, evangelist.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. Are you still feeling the pain that you used to feel before?
No pain at all, evangelist.
No pain at all, for the glory of God. Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. We've seen the evidence of Master Jesus through your wonderful testimony. Just one or two words from your teacher, please. The grace of God is sufficient for you, sir. You're welcome to please introduce yourself. Greet the church.
Good morning, church. Good morning. The grace of God is sufficient for us all in Jesus' name. Amen. My name is John Roberts. Rapula Takadu, the gentleman standing next to me, is my former student.
So, sir, we believe that, and you've expressed your kind gesture to this young man, whereby when you saw the pain that he was going through, by the grace of God, you became a good Samaritan. You invited him into the Gospel of God's Grace Ministries, where you've long seen the evidence of Christ changing many lives. And by the grace of God, we saw the young man coming into God's presence, whereby he encountered the able servant of God, Prophet Cedric, and he was prayed for. And then he now sharing with the congregation his beautiful testimony. Sir, what can you say that the whole thing really brought to you when you saw all his journey and then you saw the end of his pain? The whole thing, what did he do to your faith as well?
The whole thing cemented my faith unto the Lord. Because as it happened, the boy came to me on the 14th of August 2017. He came to me at school. So I was seeing him after quite a long time. I knew him to be at Lobasa Secondary School, and found him wearing Mulifisina school uniform. So I asked him, what happened? How are you? Then he said, I'm sick. He narrated to me the situation he had. And then as he told me, I could see that he was living in pain. And then I could see that he was hopeless. I could see that he had given up on life. Because as he said, he even attempted to commit suicide several times. He was at some point even sent to the mental hospital because of being traumatized by the prospect of living forever with the urinary catheter. And so I thought of bringing him to this place, and I knew that people sometimes they have their own beliefs and religions. So as I was talking to him, I meditated a prayer that, Master Jesus, please help him to agree to come to our presence as I'll be taking him to a church this coming Sunday. I didn't immediately relay it to him. I just had that conversation with Master Jesus. And I knew that on a Thursday, that was when I would be calling him to invite him. Meanwhile, I knew that for the coming days, I kept praying that Jesus, help my boy. I'll be bringing him to church. So please help me. Whatever the spirits that could hold him back to refuse to come, I bind them by the powerful name of Jesus Christ. And it so happened that on that Thursday, after school, I knew that now he was not in class. I called him, Rapula, I want to take you to church on Sunday. Then he agreed to that. As when he told me, even when we were coming, that the day you called me, I had a dream where I was in a church with so many people, and somebody prayed for me. And when he came here, then he said, the same man I saw in there, who prayed to me, this is the man I saw. Then I said, okay, don't worry, you'll be healed. And as
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ?
And as the service progressed, I was monitoring him. There was a testimony of a man who tried to commit suicide. As he narrated his testimony, he told us of how he went from one tree to another trying to kill himself. When he kept narrating it, my boy was crying. He wanted to become strong, but it was too painful for him. It was too tough for him. I asked him, why are you crying? He said, nothing. I said, no, tell me the truth. He said, it's because I know what this man is saying. I can understand him. I know how it feels like when you want to die. I remember how I swallowed all the pills I was given at the hospital, trying to kill myself. So I know what he's really talking about. And I really I could really feel for him, knowing that he had been so hopeless, knowing that he had given up on life. Then I just assured him that, don't worry, indeed you will be healed in Jesus' name.
And he's healed in Jesus' mighty name. Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. And you're seeing the whole thing that you've been experiencing in the life of this young man, what God has been doing in his life has really encouraged and cemented even your own faith. Is that what you are testing to the congregation?
That is what I'm testifying to the whole congregation. That is what I'm testifying to the heavens. That is what I'm testifying to Jesus Christ.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God? So you've seen the darker side of the life of Rapula, and then you are now standing with him in God's presence, where now he's standing in the glory of God, sharing a marvelous testimony to the congregation about his healing, what God has done in his life. So what can be your word of advice, word of encouragement to the church after seeing what God has done to this young lad that you brought into God's presence?
My word of advice to the church is that when God gives you an assignment, you must execute it fully. Thank you.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? Louder for the miracle worker, Jesus Christ. So, young man, as you have already alluded to the congregation, that ever since you've been coming into God's presence, you are testing to the church that you are no longer using the catheter. You are able now to relieve yourself without any difficulty. You don't have any pain anymore. So, are you still having suicidal thoughts?
No, evangelist.
Not at all. You've been delivered and freed from that as well. Is that what you are tasting to the congregation?
Evangelist.
Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus? You've seen the hand of God, you've seen the move of God, and you are a living testimony that God of Prophet Cedric is the God who changes lives, is the God who brings hope to the hopeless. And these people, they have just gathered here to meet the very same God of Prophet Cedric. So what can be your word of advice? I mean a word of encouragement to the church.
People of God, life got a lot of challenges. It might be physically or anyhow. There's challenges which seems to be impossible to be overcome. But these challenges, we can only overcome them through God. Thank you.
Shall we put our hands together beautifully for Master Jesus? We celebrate with you for this wonderful and encouraging testimony, and we thank God for this wonderful words of encouragement you've just shared with us. And you've seen it very clear that your healing only came through Christ. So the only way for you to maintain this wonderful healing is to develop a relationship with Master Jesus. So we pray that God may give you the grace for you to keep on maintaining a relationship with Him, so you may maintain this amazing grace that is upon your life.
Thank you, Jesus. I never knew God. I started to know God when I arrived here in Gospel of God Grace Ministry.
Let somebody say, thank you, Jesus. Shall we put our hands together, people of God, for Master Jesus?
Brought to you by Gospel of God's Grace Ministries, bringing hope to the hopeless. The grace of God is sufficient for you.